Hello everyone, Troy here. Welcome to your Wise Wednesdays. So today I wanted to do a super quick video around whether or not you should consider buying a property that sits on a small block or a small land parcel. And by small I mean sub 500 meters square. So these are generally what I would consider a small block of land, and your average residential dwelling land size sits between 6 to 800 meters. So this video will be about, should you buy on something that sits a lot smaller than that. So just based on our experiences, we generally shy away from properties that sit on smaller land parcels. And the main reason why we do that is because when you look at an asset overall, in property in particular as an asset class, it's the land component that actually appreciates in value, and the bricks and mortar component actually is the thing that is depreciating. So when you look at it, the overall land content as a makeup of the price you're going to pay for a property, we'd like that land component to be in a nice ratio or a nice balance when it comes to the overall purchase of a property. Let's say a property is worth 500,000. Ideally, we'd like the land to asset ratio to sit maybe around 30 to 40% of the total value of the $500,000 you're willing to spend. And what we find in most cases is when you are buying a property that sits on a smaller land parcel, that land to asset ratio gets skewed predominantly in the favor of the dwelling itself. There's more value actually sitting in the dwelling as opposed to the land, and that's generally why we shy away from buying properties that sit on these small blocks. However, there are places and locations and suburbs where smaller blocks are still very, very valuable in terms of the value of its land content. But that's where you have to ensure you do your research to actually cross-reference and cross-check what is that parcel of land actually worth in that particular area or suburb you propose to buy in. Because 9 times out of 10, when land is of high value, it's usually located in a scarce part of town or a suburb that has higher densification. So when there's more densification, land becomes more valuable around it because it is a scarce type commodity or a scarce type asset. And that's when you maybe should consider buying a property that sits on a small land parcel when you know it's placed in an area or in a suburb where land is in high demand and it is in short supply. So it is relatively scarce when you start to benchmark it to what's currently available on the market and what the overall makeup of the suburb looks like. So 2 key things there, guys. When you do buy a house that sits on a small block, you have to remember that the land component appreciates and the bricks and mortar depreciates, and you want to target properties that have a healthy balance in terms of land to asset ratio that generally sits between 30 to 40% of its overall asset value. And then something to consider if you do buy a property that sits on a small block, potentially target areas where that land component, despite it being small, is still very high in value, and that land to asset value is still high, but it's relative to that immediate area you propose to buy in, guys. I hope that's helped, and if you do have any questions around whether or not you should buy a small block and you want to unpack this further, feel free to reach out to me and the team. Cheers, guys, and bye for now.